Today marks the anniversary of 9/11, one of the most devastating terror attacks in history. It marks 23 years since this horrific airplane hijacking attacks in the United States by al-Qaeda terrorists. In Israel, a country too familiar with the impact of terror, we stand in solidarity as we mourn the 3,000 victims who were lost and all the ones who were wounded. In Israel, the fight against Hamas terror continues in Gaza. 2 IDF soldiers were killed and several others wounded in an accident when an IDF helicopter crashed in a landing zone in Gaza. Meanwhile, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant says Hamas as a military formation in Gaza is gone. Gallant said the IDF focus is shifting north to fully confront Hezbollah in Lebanon. Gallant told troops on the northern front that they should prepare for the ground offensive to push Hezbollah away from the Israeli border.
More words of war in the north. Speaking to the foreign press, Defense Minister Gallant said the IDF focus is shifting northward to fully confront Hezbollah in Lebanon. Gallant told troops on the northern front that they should prepare for the ground offensive to push Hezbollah away from the Israeli border.
מרכז הכובד עובר צפונה. אנחנו לקראת השלמת המשימות שלנו בדרום, אבל יש לנו כאן משימה שהיא משימה שלא בוצעה. המשימה הזאת זה לשנות את המצב הביטחוני ולהחזיר את התושבים אל הבתים שלהם. אני את ההנחיות האלה שהיום אתם מחכים להם נתתי בדרום וראיתי את הכוחות פועלים. אחרי 3 שבועות יצאו לדרך, ביצעו את המשימה שלהם. זה יגיע גם כאן. ואתם צריכים להיות ערוכים ומוכנים לבצע את המשימה הזאת.
Gallant said that while Hamas is defeated as a military formation, Hamas is still engaged in guerrilla warfare, and the army is still fighting Hamas terrorists and pursuing Hamas leadership. According to Gallant, the IDF could withdraw from Philadelphia corridor for 6 weeks in a deal to free hostages without endangering security. As Gallant was speaking, Hezbollah was firing rockets into the Galilee. Some 30 launches were detected. Some of them were intercepted. There were no casualties. Within minutes, an aircraft attacked the launchers at Al-Tiri and Al-Mansuri areas from which the launches were made toward the Sasa area in western Galilee. Earlier, the IDF attacked and eliminated Mohammed Qasem al-Shir in the Kiron region. He served as the commander of the Radwan unit of the Hezbollah terror group. It's day 341 of the war in Gaza. 2 soldiers were killed and several wounded when an Israeli Air Force helicopter crashed in the southern Gaza Strip last night in an apparent accident. According to an initial probe, a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter flew to Rafah with a medical team to evacuate a seriously wounded combat engineer during fighting in the area. During the final landing stage inside an IDF encampment in Rafah, the helicopter hit the ground instead of touching down correctly. According to the probe, the helicopter was not hit by enemy fire, and the crash occurred moments before the aircraft was due to land.
An Israeli man in his 20s was critically injured in a truck ramming attack. A gas tanker rammed into a bus stop at the Givat Asaf junction near the community of Bet El. The terrorist driver was arrested by security forces and troops set up extra roadblocks in the area. Meanwhile, IDF counterterrorism operations are continuing in northern Samaria. An Air Force strike targeted a terror cell during an operation in Tubas. According to Palestinian sources, 5 terrorists were killed in the strike. The anti-terror operation in Tubas and the surrounding areas has been ongoing for the past several days. The IDF has released a harrowing video showing the tunnel in which the 6 Israeli hostages were murdered by their Hamas captors in recent days, with their bodies returned to Israel for burial. IDF spokesman Daniel Hagari entered the tunnel and showed on video the horrific conditions the hostages were held under in a long and narrow tunnel where they could barely stand, the tunnel where they were eventually executed in last week on August 29th. The IDF spokesperson was lowered into the tunnel where the hostages were held and later murdered. An IDF graphic shows the intricate system of tunnels where the hostages were held.
The shaft goes down about 20 meters into the ground, using 4 separate ladders. There, it connects to a narrow tunnel with no rooms that is so low you can't stand up straight in it. The tunnel is about 120 meters long and ends in a blocked iron door. This short blocked part of the tunnel is where the hostages were held and murdered.
Terrorist ammunition was found inside the tunnel, along with bottles of urine and an improvised toilet pit. Proof was found showing women were present, with female sanitary products and clothing discovered. Hagari pointed out the blood-stained spot where the hostages were brutally murdered.
This is the blood of Hirsch, Eden, Carmel, Uri, Almog, and Alex. They were heroes, and they were here in this tunnel for weeks or days, we will find out. But they were here in this tunnel in horrific conditions, where there is no air to breathe, where you cannot stand. And they survived, but they were murdered by terrorists.
The IDF spokesman said it's not too late to bring some of the hostages home alive.
They're still hostages, 101. Some of them are alive in the same conditions in tunnels like this in Gaza. And we need to do everything we can in all the means we can to bring them back home alive.
In Tuesday night's heated presidential debate, Donald Trump claimed that Israel would cease to exist within 2 years if Kamala Harris is elected. Harris defended her support for Israel while calling for an immediate end to the war with Hamas. More on how Israel factored into the conversation from ILTV's Mayan Hoffman.
In the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, the former president made a bold claim, suggesting Israel would disappear within 2 years if Harris were elected.
She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one.
Trump highlighted his support for Israel and his foreign policy achievements during the debate. He reiterated his belief that the October 7 attack would not have occurred under his leadership, citing the sanctions he imposed on Iran, which is the key backer of Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. Trump also vowed that, if elected, he would quickly settle the ongoing war. In response, Harris defended Israel's right to fight Hamas, but, as in previous statements, called for an immediate end to the war due to the high number of Palestinian civilian casualties. During the debate in Philadelphia, moderators pressed Harris to clarify her stance that while Israel has the right to defend itself, it matters how the war is conducted. Harris placed the blame for the war squarely on Hamas, but reiterated President Joe Biden's ceasefire for hostage deal plan, a plan that has seen no progress in months and might now be off the table. Furthermore, Harris promoted a two-state solution, a proposal currently rejected by most Israelis and Palestinians. Israel has warned that such a solution could jeopardize its existence. Trump criticized Harris for not attending Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech to Congress over the summer, and he accused her of having bias against not only Jews, but also Arabs.
In her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that.
And joining us now to discuss this debate is Professor Zaki Shalom of the Misgav Institute for National Security and Strategy. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. I'm very.
So a lot can be said and discussed about this debate, the first for these two candidates together, but I'd like to focus on the things which were said about Israel. Trump made a very harsh statement that under Kamala Harris's leadership, the state of Israel would disappear within 2 years. What do you think of that? What did he mean?
Well, certainly he's been exaggerating. We do not really depend on anyone to ensure our survival in this region. I think we will survive, but he needs it for his own career campaign to get the votes of the Jewish community in the United States. So he's been exaggerating, but if we really want to discuss the views of Kamala Harris, then certainly they are not really suitable to the position of the Israeli government in Israel right now.
Now, Harris, on her end, said she completely supports the state of Israel and its right to defend itself. Do Jews believe her when she says that, American Jews? What is her track record when it comes to Israel?
Yes, I think still most of the Jewish community in the United States still support the Democratic Party. Almost 70% of them until now are supportive of the Democratic Party. Maybe now, because of the campaign by Trump, maybe things will change. But look, when Kamala Harris says that she's supporting ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, what does she mean? She actually means that Israel has to stop the war without achieving her goals, namely that the Hamas will remain in power in Gaza, and that actually the attack of the 7th of October might be repeated again from Gaza. So it looks nice words to say that we are supporting ceasefire, but supporting ceasefire now for Israel is actually labeling her as a defeated state, and I think she knows it, and that's why it's dangerous. The other component in her speech was the support for the two-state solution. Mm-hmm. So yep. She knows very well that the Israeli government, this Israeli government, is totally rejecting this position, and she knows that even the Knesset has been rejecting it, and we see what's going now in Judea and Samaria. It's very, very close to the Israeli centered populated areas. And if God forbid the attack of 7 October might start from Kalkilia or from Tulkarm or other places, it's going to be in Tel Aviv and Netanya and other places. So she's knows it, and I think these views of her are not really very pleasant to say an understatement to the Israeli ears.
So she defends Israel's right to defend itself, right? She says that they're entitled to fight Hamas, but she emphasized the importance of how the war is conducted. She also advocated, like you said, for a two-state solution. Do you think that this is direct criticism of Israel, its strategy, and its policies? It seems that she's trying to balance the support for Israel while addressing the Palestinian cause.
Well, if you say Israel has a right to defend itself, but you have to act in a way that doesn't really cause casualties among population. And she knows very well that the Hamas is hiding inside the population. So actually, what is she telling us? She's telling us you cannot act. And if you act, we will create a shaming on you in the international community. We'll bring it to the United Nations and so on. So she's on one hand she's giving us thanks her very much. A right to defend our state, which is obvious. I mean, it's taken for granted that the state has a right to defend itself. Otherwise, what does it mean that we are a state? And on the other hand, she puts some restraint on our ability to defend ourselves. It's contradictory statement. And we've seen during the war that the United States has been very much quite criticizing Israel for casualties in Shifa and other places, which it knows very well that even the United States Army, when it was fighting in Iraq, couldn't help refraining from causing casualty among population, even though the population were not really intending, God forbid, to hit and to kill ordinary people. But since the Hamas is working and is attacking us from inside the populated areas, this is this is not something that you can really prevent from happening.
Professor Zaki Shalom, thank you very much for your input.
You're most welcome.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in rage over the decision made by the ICC prosecutor to issue arrest warrants to him, to Defense Minister Gallant, and to Hamas terror leader Yahi Sinwar. Netanyahu called the decision to indict a moral disgrace. More from ILTV's Devo Klein.
The ICC prosecutor Karim Khan's call to indict Netanyahu, Gallant, and Sinwar was met by a fierce rebuke from Prime Minister Netanyahu. Netanyahu rejected the indictment for war against an Israeli prime minister and defense minister who are fighting Hamas terrorism in strict accordance with the laws of war. Karim also calls to indict Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Netanyahu rejected the comparison made by the prosecutor in The Hague between him and Sinwar, a war criminal who executed Israeli hostages in cold blood. He called Khan's decision pure anti-Semitism and a moral disgrace of the highest order. In his filing to the court, prosecutor Karim Khan expressed frustration with the court's delay in issuing warrants until now, and urged swift action ahead of Netanyahu's scheduled speech at the UN General Assembly later this month.
And with the Jewish holidays coming up, including the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, it is the perfect time to give meaningful gifts to those close to you, those you love, and there's no gift more fitting than one that strengthens Jewish identity and heritage. And so joining me in studio is ILTV's Ariella Lachiani with some beautiful pieces from Judaica Web Store. And if you like what you see, be sure to scan the QR code to get your own. So Ariella, can you tell me what we have here today?
Yeah, so we have a beautiful selection here, which is just a few of a very wide selection. Here we have a gift box, which comes with the shofar, which is probably the most symbolic item of the Jewish New Year. It's a ram's horn used to call the Jewish community for prayers. We have the honey, of course, to symbolize a sweet New Year, and a small pocketbook of blessings for a new year. Here we have the honey dish with pomegranates on the outside, a symbol of abundance and fruitfulness, and this spoon as well, the honey serving spoon with the pomegranate on the top. We have this beautiful dish, again with the pomegranates, very bright, vibrant for your dinner table.
Yeah, very colorful.
Yeah, beautiful, to add some color into the dinner. And here's some more honey for a Jewish New Year. And we also have here this mezuzah made of Jerusalem stone, which is available in different colors as well. Very historical, very beautiful, and very personal. So
there's a nice selection here of different gifts, various gifts, all with the Jewish theme.
Yeah, for sure. And also if you go onto the Judaica Web Store website, they actually have a section of holidays and also one just for Rosh Hashanah, which is products all catered for this time of year.
I love the pomegranate. Anything with pomegranate I want to get.
Well, it's nice. It's symbolic, and I think that's a nice thing. You know, how many gifts you receive, and I think the ones that you remember the most, the ones that stand out, are the ones that have some meaning. No, I don't know about you, but the best gift I've ever got was a mezuzah. So
I've gotten gifts of the shofar. I have 3 of them at home, actually, and I find them to be very unique. It's very authentic, very Jewish.
Well, there you go. I think as well, you know, at this time of year, especially in today's world, we're living in a very globalized world. You know, it's important to give gifts and also receive gifts that strengthen your identity and, you know, embolden tradition and also enlighten newer generations, you know, if you're at the dinner table with your family, of traditions and you're honoring your ancestors. So I think it's a perfect time to give gifts and, you know, strengthen your Jewish identity and your heritage.
Now, the honey is, you know, known for the sweetness, right? So that we have a sweet year. And oh boy, do we need a sweet year now after the year we've had. Very much so. Ariella Lachiani, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And you, Ariella, also attended Olim in Tel Aviv's Bridging the Gap event, where Olim and Israelis came together and danced, sang, drank, and ate to integrate and become one loving and welcoming community. Let's take a look at that.
So we're basically here at this party called Bridging the Gap, Olim in Tel Aviv. The idea is to bring Israelis and Olim together. Israelis have to understand Olim, we're here to stay, and Olim really want to be involved and integrate into society, and ultimately it'll help them stay here for the long term.
I think there's a gap in the market of like us not meeting enough, and it's a great opportunity to meet Israelis because I'm an Olim myself. I love it.
We have a lot of Olim who complain that it's very hard for them to break into the Israeli circle, so we basically wanted to come together, make Olim feel more at home by meeting more Israelis.
I always grew up with like Israeli culture and Jewish culture at home, but coming to Israel, it was really, really different for me. So it was important when I came here to learn a little bit about how the other side live and to, I guess, integrate.
At the end of the day, we might be from different cultures and backgrounds, but we all have the same heart and we all want the same things, which is community and joy and love and connections.
Especially right now during this time, I think Olim feel very lonely. They just like need more familiar faces need more family here, and part of that is meeting Israelis. So.
We all have a shared goal. We all love Israel. We're all Zionists. We all want to be involved in this community.
One thing I wish I knew before coming here, wow, how expensive it is. I wish I knew that.
I wish I knew how chaotic this country can be. I wasn't ready for that. I'm like a little bit European, you know, like I'm used to like the European standards, you know. But I guess in Israel you learn, you know, you learn everything and then you get used to it, and now I can't imagine myself leaving, so.
What's the best and worst part of the dating scene in Tel Aviv?
Okay, so the best thing is that people are very, very open. And the worst part is that everyone in Israel is like chai b'seret, you know, I don't know if you know what that means, like.
It means like living in a movie.
Like living in a movie, you know, everyone thinks they deserve like the very, very best, so like, I would change that if I could.
It's really easy to meet people. There's so many options, so many different types of people.
The best thing about the dating scene, I would say here, is that there's so much to choose from. But then I think that's also the worst thing at the same time, because you know, when you have too many options, it's tough to find someone that's perfect for you, right?
Came to show some love to all the Olim. We love Olim. It's the best crowd, best people, best vibes.
I love the combination between international people and Israeli together in a party. I think the vibe is amazing, and I just want to spread the truth, love, and enjoy the life.
Sometimes people forget that it's not only about like a community of like parties and stuff. It's actually like personal and business connections created thanks to that.
It's all about community. I don't like that people segregate, like, this is the Olim crew and this is the Israeli crew. No, we all live here. We're all Jews. We all want to be here. We all want to integrate here and succeed here. And the only way to do that is together.
One message to all the Olim watching this.
Immerse yourself in the culture here. Like, get to know Israelis, Americans. Don't just limit yourself to one group of people, because it'll expand your mindset.
Stay strong. We know it's a tough time. Come out to our events, meet more people, and you'll get through it. And we're going to keep doing more parties like this and helping intermingle between all these communities.
Try arak. Drink arak, drink Israeli things, and say sababa. Everything, if you're not sure Hebrew, English, sababa. Sababa is good with everything. That's
sababa.
The life here is an enjoyable one. And if you really kind of take that step, take that leap, you'll be rewarded for it.
Everybody needs to come to Israel. That's it. Everybody needs to come here. The things you experience here as a tourist, they're sustainable in the long term. We're all going to end up in Israel eventually. Come to Israel. Make Aliyah. You're missing out.
I want to tell everybody in the camera, I want to tell everyone, come to Israel, you know. I know things are a bit difficult right now, but this is our country, it's our home, it's the best country in the world, and Hashem will save us. Don't worry, come to Israel, stay in Israel, make Aliyah, and be here, and everything will be good.
Sagot Winery, where passion meets tradition. Nestled in the heart of Binyamin, our vineyards yield exquisite wines crafted with generations of expertise.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Partly cloudy skies are expected tonight around the country, with temperatures reaching lows of around 24 degrees Celsius or 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, sunny skies and warm weather are expected as temperatures should climb to reach highs of 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. That's all for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, to subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, ILTV.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Sivan Raviv. Be well, be safe, and thank you so much for watching.